A U.S. senator met with a wrongly deported Maryland man in El Salvador. That's where we're starting the 7 from the Washington Post. I'm Hannah Jewell. It's Friday, April 18th. Let's get you caught up with today's 7 stories. Senator Chris Van Hollen traveled this week to El Salvador to try and meet with Kilmar Abrego García. That's the Maryland resident who was mistakenly deported to the Central American country where he has been imprisoned in a notorious facility. At first, the Democratic senator from Maryland was denied a meeting. But last night, Van Hollen shared an image of himself seated at a table with a man he identified as Abrego García. He said that had a chance to speak. Abrego Garcia's case has become a flashpoint in President Donald Trump's mass deportation campaign. Democrats have come out in support of Abrego García with increasing urgency since the Supreme Court ruled last week that the administration must facilitate his return to the U.S. But a federal judge this week said Trump appeared to have done nothing at all to return him. And yesterday, a panel of 3 appeals court judges excoriated the White House's handling of Abrego Garcia's case. The administration may appeal to the Supreme Court, so the legal standoff over Abrego García is far from over. But for now, his wife said her and her children's prayers had been answered because they know that he's alive. President Donald Trump said he's 100% sure that the U.S. will strike a trade deal with Europe. That's number 2. Trump met with Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni at the White House yesterday. She was the first European leader to visit the White House since Trump rolled out a raft of tariffs that threatened to upend the global economy. Meloni and Trump hold similar political views. Meloni heads a coalition that is Italy's most right-wing government since the authoritarian regime of Benito Mussolini was overthrown in 1943. Trump has described her as a wonderful woman. And yesterday, the pair shared a warm exchange.
Well, I believe in the West unity, and I think simply we have to talk and find ourselves.
She believes in the president.
Also, and find ourselves in the best middle way to grow together. That's why I'm here. So, if I wouldn't think it's a reliable partner, I wouldn't be here.
We have a very good relationship together.
Other European leaders see Meloni as their best hope. They want her to persuade Trump to back down on steep tariffs on the European Union's 27 members. And Trump confirmed yesterday that he fully expects such a deal. Number 3. 2 people were killed in a shooting at Florida State University. Just before noon yesterday, a man who police say is an FSU student opened fire on the Tallahassee campus. Students scrambled for cover. Officials said that the 2 men who died were not students, but that students were among the 6 who were injured. Police identified 20-year-old Phoenix Eichner as the suspect. His mother is a sheriff's deputy. Leon County Sheriff Walt McNeil spoke about the shooting yesterday.
Unfortunately, her son had access to one of her weapons, and that was one of the weapons that was found at the scene. And we will continue that investigation into how that weapon was used and what other weapons perhaps he may have had access to.
Eichner was shot by police on the scene. He was hospitalized with serious injuries. Speaking to reporters in the Oval Office yesterday, President Trump responded to news of the shooting.
Look, I'm a big advocate of the Second Amendment. I have been from the beginning. I protected it. And these things are terrible. But the gun doesn't do the shooting. The people do. It's, a phrase that's used probably too often.
FSU has canceled classes today, and athletic events will be paused through Sunday. Number 4. The U.S. DOGE service began freezing healthcare payments. DOGE is putting new curbs on billions of dollars in federal healthcare grants. It's requiring government officials to manually review and approve previously routine payments. That is paralyzing grant awards to tens of thousands of organizations. The Trump administration is pushing to crack down on grants that it says conflict with White House priorities. The grants include funding for doctors' and nurses' salaries at federal health centers that serve the poor and uninsured. Some grantees are waiting on payments they expected last week. One employee at a federal health center said that if the funding delay continues much longer, the situation could grow dire. A new poll found that American views of Russia are changing. That's our fifth story. A Pew Research Center poll published yesterday found that the share of Americans who said Russia was an enemy had fallen to 50%. That's down from 61% in April last year and 70% in March 2022, just after Russia's invasion of Ukraine. The shift largely comes down to evolving views among Republicans, and it follows false statements from Trump claiming that Ukraine started the war. And in some breaking news this morning, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that Trump is ready to move on from peace talks between Russia and Ukraine if there is no progress within days. Number 6. Severe weather is hitting central states today and through the weekend. Repeated rounds of strong to severe storms are lashing the central and southern plains. They're bringing a risk of tornadoes, flooding, and baseball-size hail. Some of the same areas that will be affected have already been hit by flooding and strong tornadoes since last month. The country is entering peak tornado season. But staff reductions are underway at the National Weather Service, part of the Trump administration's efforts to slash the federal government. That could leave many forecast offices around the country with half the meteorologists they need to properly monitor extreme weather threats. And at number 7, Fyre Festival 2 has called off its plans for now. Cast your mind back to 2017 for a moment. That's when the original Fyre Festival ended in disaster. Ticket holders were shocked to arrive in the Bahamas for what they had been promised would be a luxury experience, only to find dire facilities, packaged sandwiches, and no entertainment. The whole thing ended with the festival's organizer, Billy McFarland, in prison. But that wasn't enough to deter him from giving it another go. In February, he announced that Fyre Festival 2 would take place in Mexico in May. Tickets ranged from $1,400 to over $1 million. Well, it's nearly May, and the festival isn't happening. At least not yet. Organizers cited issues with the vendors. If you are one of the lucky few who bought a ticket, you can request a refund. You may have even gotten one already. Check your bank account. Or, organizers say, you can hold on to your ticket. All you have to do is keep the faith that a new date, location, and maybe even some performers will be announced soon. That's the show for this week. But before we go, I want to wish a very happy birthday to my boss, John. It's a big one. The associate producer of The 7 is Taylor White. The staff writers are Jamie Ross and me. John Taylor, the birthday boy, is our editor. Additional editing by Christina Quinn. Copy editing by Melissa No and Thomas Haliba. Mixing and sound design is by Jim Briggs and Justin Garish. Our theme music is by Edith Mudge. Renita Jablonski is our director of audio. I'm Hannah Jewell. Thanks for listening and have a great weekend. I'll be off next week, but the rest of the team will meet you back here on Monday.
My name is Tom Sietsema, and I am the food critic for The Washington Post. I think a lot of great restaurant meals are like great books, films, or concerts. You don't necessarily need them to live, but don't they make life more worth living? I see myself as sort of a reader advocate going in there, spending the Post's money, coming back and giving you the green light, yield sign, or a stop sign. I like to be seen as sort of the best friend who happens to eat out a lot more than they do. I eat in about 10 restaurants a week, and I like creating memories for people and helping them create memories, whether those are first date, a 50th anniversary, grandma's 90th birthday, if you have special needs, whether they're dietary or otherwise. When you subscribe to The Washington Post, you support this kind of journalism. Learn more at subscribe.washingtonpost.com. I'm Tom Sietsema, and I'm one of the people behind the Post.